The door clicks softly closed behind. Keys rest on the stand. A small warm weight against my chest, curled inside my hands. The hallway feels familiar now, but somehow rearranged. Every sound inside these walls has subtly been changed. Your breath moves steady near my heart. Small fingers flex and curl. The quiet house receives us both into this altered world. Alone with the baby in evening's gentle light. No footsteps follow mine through this first night. The crib stands waiting by the bed, blanket folded thin. Two shadows on the painted wall where one had once been. Milk warming on the stove, soft cry against my skin. The clock keeps moving carefully as hours begin. I rock beneath the muted lamp, floor cool beneath my feet. A rhythm forming in the dark, tender and complete. No witness to this fragile scene, no second pair of hands. Just heartbeat close to heartbeat, learning how to stand alone with the baby through midnight's open air. A world reduced to breathing and whispered prayer. Your tiny face against my arm, unaware of loss. I trace the curve of your small ear and count the cost. Love can rise from broken ground without a single sound. It gathers in the quiet where no one else is found. Alone with the baby, yet not entirely so. A warmth against my collarbone that helps me grow. The room may hold no partner's voice, no promise at the door. But in these fragile, sleepless hours, I feel something more. Hands rest gently on my curved waiting room. Grocery line, strangers glance a moment long at what they think is mine. A woman smiles politely, then tilts her head to say, is he excited for the day? Her tone soft and gray. The question hangs between us, simple, clean and small, but it presses on my ribs like something I must hold. Ask about the father in voices light and kind, as if his name sits easily inside my steady mind. I answer with a quiet nod and let the moment pass. behind a steady mask. Another form across the desk, another careful space. Will he be present at the birth? A smile across her face. I feel the weight of every word balanced on my tongue. The truth does not require volume to be firmly sung. I smooth the paper with my hand and keep my breathing slow. Not every absence needs to be explained for others to know. Asked about the Father, like he stands nearby, like he waits just outside the door under open sky. I choose each word deliberately, soft, precise, and spare. Some spaces stay unoccupied even when they stare. Judgment really shouts aloud, it lingers in a glance. It hides within polite concern and passing circumstance. Asked about the Father again and yet again. Answer with a steady voice that does not bend. No bitterness inside the tone, no trembling in my breath. Only truth that walks beside the life I carry next. Dusty chair beneath my weight, magazine turned face down. Names are called in steady tones, echoing around. Clipboard resting on my knees, forms with empty lines. Questions written carefully about a father's side. I hold the pen a little tight, ink presses through the page. The room smells faint of antiseptic and quiet turning age. Every appointment alone, under pale white light, sitting with a growing curve, hidden in my sight. No shoulder next to mine, no steady guiding hand, just my name in careful print, trying to understand. The monitor hums low and soft, a rhythm fills the air. A small quick flutter on the screen, moving unaware. The nurse smiles gently at me, says everything looks fine. I nod and inside, a tiny steady beat reminds me I am not just mine. Every appointment alone becomes a practice start, learning how to steady breath and hold a guarded heart. No witness to these changing days, no partner in the chair. But when I place my hand below, I know that someone's there. Midnight settles on my coat, your scent still on my skin. Taxi lights across the glass fade where we had been. Your fingers lingered at my waist and slip without a sound. I watch the door close softly while silence filled the ground. The street feels colder walking back than when I walk to you. Every promise said at night feels thinner in the blue. Heavy borrowed nights rest against my chest. Love that lives in shadows never fully rest. Your arms around me linger long after you depart, but morning finds me standing with emptiness in my heart. Shoes placed quietly by the door, lights left dim and low. I sit upon the edge of bed and let the quiet grow. Phone screen glowing in my palm, waiting for your sign. A message saying something short, something clearly mine. The hours move but feel suspended between what is and could. I lie awake inside the dark where certainty once stood. Heavy borrowed nights follow me back home, wrapped around my shoulders, yeah, leaving me alone. Your whisper at my collarbone still echoes in my ear, but daylight brings a different truth that settles in with fear. Love that hides in evening rooms carries unseen cost. It warms the skin for just a while, then leaves what's nearly lost. Heavy borrowed nights stack like folded sheets, tender in their memory but hollow in the streets. I hold them close against my ribs, though they begin to weigh. A love that cannot stand in sun still asks my heart to stay. Mm-hmm. Curtains drawn against the street, orange lights slipping through, dust floating in the quiet, landing softly on you. Your suitcase by the narrow wall, my shoes beside the chair. A borrowed room, a borrowed hour, breathing borrowed air. The world exists beyond the door, but fades behind the scene. Inside these fading golden walls, we build a fragile dream. Hotel curtains at sunset hold us in their glow. The sky outside keeps turning, but here it moves slow. Your hand rests to my waist like it could choose to stay. Yet evening knows the truth, it always fades away. Television muted low, city sounds beneath your forehead resting close to mine, careful, incomplete. You speak about a future time when everything feels clean. I nod against your shoulder and hold what cannot be seen. Light slides down the window glass, thinner than before. Shadows stretch across the bed toward an unseen door. Hotel curtains at sunset wrap the room in red. We trace off lines of promise and words we never said. Your breath warm on my collarbone, my heart unsure and wide. The sky sinks out of sight, leaving night to hide. The hallway hums beyond the wall, keys turning somewhere near. Time waits outside the curtain folds, counting what we fear. Hotel curtains at sunset close around our frame. We stand within the amber light, knowing it won't remain. When morning comes too honest and daylight pulls apart, this room will keep our silence folded in its dark. Night rests heavy on the sheets, a room in muted gray. My hand lies low across my skin, where something softly sways. A subtle flutter, barely there, like breath beneath the bone. A presence small and certain now, that is not alone. Outside the window, nothing moves, no message breaks the air. Inside my body, something turns so quietly aware. I cried from within where no one else could see. Tears fell down my silent face, while life moved under me. Two heartbeats share this fragile space, one steady, one unsure, abandoned in the open world, yet holding something pure. talk to what I hold inside. You do not hear the trembling that travels through my chest. You do not feel the gentle shift that never lets me rest. The night remains indifferent, the stars keep distant light, but something small beneath my ribs grows warmer in the night. I cried from within with one hand on my heart, the future forming quietly. Even as we part, no footsteps in the hallway, no knock upon the door, only breath and quiet skin and something asking more. Lost can live beside new life without a sudden sound. One hand releasing what has gone, one guarding what is found. I cried from within but did not fall apart. The tears ran soft and steady across a guarded heart. Outside the world grew colder, your silence settled thin, yet under quiet broken sky, life began within. Life began within. Morning light across the tile, cold against my feet. Mirror holds a fragile face, breathing slow, uneven beat. The sink runs thin and fades away, water down the drain. Something small rests in my hand and rearranges everything. Two quiet lines beneath the glass, sharp against the white. The world narrows to their space inside the bathroom light. Marked on tile between the sink and door, a future drawn in fragile ink, unlike the night before. My hands begin to tremble, but no sound leaves my chest. The floor remains exactly still while life begins its test. I sit back against the wall, cool ceramic spine, counting breaths like stepping stones across an unseen line. Your voice from last night echoes faint, promises half spoken. This small sign inside my palm feels tender and unbroken. The air grows thick and colorless, time loses shape and frame. A quiet shift inside my body whispers my name. Marked on tile under morning glare, a truth too clear to turn away, too sudden not to bear. Fear and wonder mix like rain sliding down the seam. Nothing loud, nothing wild, just the start of something unseen. The mirror shows the same outline, yes, something has begun. A pulse too soft to measure, but already not undone. changes everything without asking if I'm prepared. I rise slowly from the floor and wash my shaking hands. The room stays quiet, unaware of where my life now stands. We met beneath fluorescent light, two strangers carrying weight. Your eyes held something unfinished, mine learned to hesitate. You spoke about the city rain, about the road back home. Your ring caught in the passing light, a truth already known. The air between our careful words shifted slow and thin. Something neither planned to feel moved quietly within. Meeting between worlds when nothing should have grown. Two lives still tied elsewhere, yet somehow not alone. Your hand brushed close to mine, then lingered half a breath. A fragile line began to blur between what's right and left. A house that felt too small, a silence at your dinner table, a picture on the wall. I listened like a borrowed place where you could rest a while. The evening settled gently, but stayed in quiet denial. Streetlights flickered on outside, shadows long and pale. We both stood at a crossing, afraid of where the trail. Meeting between worlds with promises unmade, a softness in your lowered voice that neither could evade. We walk beside each other, not touching yet aware that something had awakened in carefully measured air. Two histories still breathing, two futures undefined. A door left slightly open in corners of the mind. Meeting between worlds where caution lost its ground, a tenderness too fragile to make a certain sound. We stepped into the evening with secrets yet unnamed, not broken, not forgiven, just quietly rearranged. Your small cry breaks the heavy dark. Soft and fragile, small, my body moves before my mind. Arms reaching through the air. The night feels endless, slow and wide, but you were always there. My eyes burn with quiet soul. My hands tremble from the day. Yet when you settle near my chest, the noise begins to fade. Nighttime burden resting in my arms. Tears fall silent on your hair. Yet you remain my calm. The hours stretch without relief, but love begins to rise between the weight of sleeplessness and heavy closing eyes. Milk stains on my cotton shirt, rocking back and forth. The world beyond these narrow walls moves with distant force. I lean against the hallway frame, breathing through the ache. Each small sound you softly make feels more than I can take. Exhaustion wraps around my spine like something I must fight, but warmth against my collarbone answers every prayer. Nighttime burden through the quiet gray. No partner in the rocking chair, no voice to share the day. Yet when your fingers curl in mine, a strength begins to form. Not loud, not fierce, not proud at all, just steady through the storm. Love can grow in tired bones, in tear-stained cotton sleeves. It rises in the silent hours when no one else believes. Nighttime burden becomes a fragile gift. Your breath against my weary skin gives my spine a lift. The dark may press against the glass. The hours may feel long, but in this quiet rocking chair, I belong. You stand just inside the door, shoes still facing out. Light falls pale across your face, careful, full of doubt. Your hands remain inside your coat, like they need somewhere to hide. The room feels smaller than before, with you not at my side. Your eyes rest somewhere near the floor, not where I can see. The air between our steady breaths holds quiet apology. Only one return, and even that feels thin. You stand inside this borrowed space, but never step fully in. Your voice is calm, controlled, polite, like strangers that I get. You ask about my health and days, toward my rounded shape, then quickly turn away, as if the truth has weighed enough to make you hesitate. The kettle hums inside the kitchen, neither of us moves. Small talk fills the fragile air, but nothing truly proves. The silence after every phrase feels heavier than stone. You nod at things that matter most, like things already gone. Only one return, with hands that do not stay. You say you hope for clarity in some distant way. Your eyes avoid the window light, avoid the mirror too, as if reflection might reveal what you cannot undo. Some visits carry endings without a spoken word, the closing drawn in lowered gaze, more final than unheard. Only one return, and footsteps toward the hall. The door remains half open, but you no longer call. I stand inside the quiet room, with breath I keep contained. You came once more to look at me, then left almost unchanged. Leaves scattered near our shoes, sunlight shifting through the trees. Children laughing somewhere far, carried by a breeze. You sit beside me on the bench, hands folded in your lap. Your eyes avoid the open sky, as if it might collapse. My fingers press against my dress, feeling something new. The words rise slowly to my lips and settle there for you. I tell you in the quiet park, with daylight on my face, there's a life that's growing now in this uncertain space. The wind moves gently through the grass, but you remain so still. Your silence louder than the sound of anything you will. Your jaw tightens just a bit, your shoulders draw apart. The world continues unaware of what shifts in my heart. You ask me if I'm certain, your voice barely above air. I nod and feel so neither one is moved aside. I tell you in the open light, with trembling in my tone, there's a future written softly that we have never known. You stare across the empty field at nothing I can see, and quiet gathers like a wall between your breath and me. In your lowered gaze, no comfort in your eyes, only calculations forming behind a thin disguise. I tell you once, then let it sit between the grass and sky. The world keeps spinning gently while something here runs dry. You rise without a certain word, the bench still warm from you. The park absorbs the moment and leaves me with the truth. You stood beneath a street lamp glow, hands buried in your coat. Your voice was low and careful, every word remote. You said the house felt colder now, rooms divided by air. You said it would not last much longer, you said you would be fair. The night leaned close to hear you speak, cars passing slow behind. A future shaped in quiet tones settled in my mind. You gave a parting promise, soft against my skin. Said the lines would soon be broken, said I would be let in. Like fragile glass, bright inside my chest, believing love once spoken clear would find its proper rest. You traced a circle on my palm as if drawing something new, a life without divided doors, a place for only two. Your eyes searching mine for trust, for faith without a doubt. I nodded with a steady breath and let the fear step out. The city lights flickered pale as midnight drew its line. I wrapped your future sentences around this heart of mine. You gave a parting promise under borrowed skies, said the end was nearly written, said no more need to hide. I carried every syllable through nights that followed fast, trusting what you said to me would finally come to pass. Hope can bloom in narrow spaces, even when unsure. It grows between uncertain hands, tender, insecure. You gave a parting promise, and I chose to believe The love once spoken honestly would not deceive. I walk beside that future, though it had no form, holding close your quiet vow like shelter from the storm. Morning light across the floor, small shoes by the door, tiny jacket on the hook. I've seen this side before. Your laughter fills the kitchen air, spilled milk on the tile. The world may never know my name, but you know me as mine. The mirror shows a steadier face than months ago had shown. Lines of tired honesty, now quietly my own. She stood anyway, through the closing door, through unanswered calls, an empty floor. She held a life beneath her heart when promises fell through. Not proud, not seeking praise, just steady, just true. Forms were signed with shaking hands, bills paid one by one, questions met with level eyes when judgment had begun. There were nights she nearly bent under what she bore, yet morning always found her feet touching ground once more. Strength did not arrive in waves or sudden bursts of flame. It gathered in the smallest acts no one else could name. She stood anyway in quiet rooms with lullabies and unpaid dues. She carried love without a shield, without a witness near. No bitterness inside her chest, no triumph carved in tears. Some hearts survive by softening, not hardening to stone. Some spines grow strong from bending when standing all alone. She stood anyway with open hands, not reaching back for broken plans. She raised a child from uncertain ground where fear had once begun. Her heart stayed tender in the end, her spine stayed strong as one. The screen lights up an empty room, blue against the wall. No new name appears tonight, no vibration call. My thumb scrolls through older words, proof you once were near. Send sentences that felt so warm now hanging thin and clear. 3 small dots, no longer eyes, no typing left to see. The space between what was and is widens quietly. Silence on your line echoes in my hand. I hold the phone like fragile glass, trying to understand. No answer tone, no gentle ring, no late night explanation. Only distance settling without communication. The city hums beyond the glass, cars pass in steady streams. Life continues, unaware of how absence leans. My reflection in the darkened screen looks back unsure and pale. Weeks ago your voice would fill this quiet with detail. I type a word then erase it, let the cursor blink alone. The air feels heavier each night with what remains unknown. Silence on your line feels louder than goodbye. No closing sentence offered, no reason, no reply. I sit within the quiet glow and let the minutes pass, listening to nothing, as if it might speak last. Home can vanish simply without a final scene. It leaves behind a steady hush where something once had been. Silence on your line settles into skin. The messages stop arriving where they once had been. I place the phone beside my bed. The light fades into gray. The quiet does not answer me. It simply stays. You said you needed time to think, said everything felt fast. Your eyes avoided meeting mine as if the moment wouldn't last. The room felt smaller than before, the walls too close, too near. Your words moved careful through the air, but never eased my fear. You spoke of space and breathing room, of things you had to face. I stood there holding something new inside my shifting shape. Time for you is waiting for me, counting days silently while my body learns a quiet change. My nights grow longer till you ask for distance to be sure, and I remain with you. Oh. your steady tone. I measure weeks in heartbeat beats and evenings spent alone. Time for you feels slow and wide. I hold my breath while you decide. The mirror shows a subtle shift. The world remains the same. You ask for space to understand while I whisper your name. Love that once felt urgent now stands at careful distance. I carry what is growing here without your steady presence. So time for you moves like a tide pulling back from my side. I place my hand against my heart and feel what still is true. You ask for time to find yourself, and I wait here for two. Your voice sounds careful on the line, measure slow, restraint. Words that once came easily now hesitate and change. You clear your throat between each phrase as if choosing where to land. Something shifts beneath the tone I barely understand. There's a distance in your breath that wasn't there before. The silence after what you say feels heavier than the floor. You're changing way without a sound, pulling back without being found. Your sentences grow thinner now, like threads that start to fray. I hear the future narrowing in the way you say my name. You speak about complications, about the timing not being right, about the weight of everything that waits beyond our nights. You say you need a moment to steady what you feel, but moments stretch like empty halls, too long to keep them real. Your pauses grow between the words like steps you choose to miss. I hold the quiet carefully, afraid of what it is. You're changing way I feel it, moving softer tones in what you remove. No anger in your lowered voice, no promise clearly torn. Just something slowly stepping back from where we once were warm. Love can fade without a crash. It thins instead of breaks. It loosens quietly at the seams in choices someone makes. You're changing way, and I stand still listening for what never will. The space between your words and mine widens day by day. I hold what's left inside my chest.